HP, Dells of the world, submit their hardware to get certified on Windows Server, and we have something called an additional qualifier now, which is around power efficiency. So we have the Windows Server power efficiency logo, and what that means is when you buy a server with that logo, you know that Windows Server 2008 R2 is going to be able to manage every aspect of the power on that machine. And one of the things that we're giving our customers that we haven't had in previous versions is incredibly deep insight into the power profiles of those machines. You can actually, we have a power configuration utility that actually lets you profile the power on a machine to see where it's coming from. Like, hey, these USB devices aren't going to sleep, and the most power is being consumed by the RAM, etc. And we can use group policy to really tweak in, what our power profiles look like. So, for example, hey, maybe. What is the implication of turning off, the screens, or putting my, hard drives asleep after idle time after 5 minutes? We didn't have that granularity before. But that's kind of the out-of-box goodness that you get with R2, power process management, core parking. We're also doing things, that we, solid-state devices haven't really made their way into the enterprise market yet, but there's going to be a time where the mean time to failure, the price point, performance all have parity with the spinning disks today. And so we're already starting now to say, hey, how do we power off parts of the solid-state device that aren't holding any information, right? And then throttling them up as necessary. So, across all aspects about it, we're thinking about power. But that's like the out-of-the-box goodness. Then you introduce System Center Operations Manager, which you're actually going to be seeing a demo coming up here later on this year, where we can actually put power SLAs onto our servers that actually put them in a lower processor mode so we don't go over our power budget. Yeah, and then, the whole concept of, hey, it's, again, 3 a.m. in the morning, let's move all these virtual machines from this machine to this machine and shut that one down until the actual resource is needed, and then we can spin it up, move the machines back. And again, it's all coming together with our dynamic data center vision.
That's some really great stuff. So one of the things that you said that kind of, the IT pro in me is still there. It still kind of flips that switch and says concern. Yeah. If I'm moving my workload off of 7, 8 servers and I'm throwing it on one box, somebody goes running behind that box and kicks out the power cords or something, we've got a problem there. What are we doing in terms of, making these things highly available and those things, and being able to back up servers a little bit better out of the box?
Yeah, so a couple things on that. Obviously I would say probably, absolutely, the key feature of R2 is live migration, right? So the scenario you just explained is unplanned downtime.
Sure.
But we still have a way, if there is unplanned downtime and those machines are in a cluster, to get them up on another machine and up and running. But live migration really is about, planned downtime. So I know I need to take this machine down. I can responsibly move those workloads with zero end user interruption, no drop network connections, etc., from one machine to another, and then allow me to do maintenance on that machine. And there are some other things that, it's funny you mentioned the backup because, talk about the big features, live migration, and then things like, we just don't have the bandwidth to talk about to our customers like backup. And it's always nice, at least in the server side, when we go in, to like another milestone, to be able to talk about new things we've added. So I know there's some things for those of you who are out there who are going to be watching this, on RC Day, stay tuned for, the Tech Ed keynote announcements, because we are going to make some announcements around some things, new features we've added around Hyper-V and around our file server, and that's all I can really say right now. But they're going to be cool. They're going to be in the keynote, and I think they're going to respond well. But talking about those little customer-driven features that we like to add in, server backup is one of them. So for example, we can now back up to network shares. We can now do an incremental backup of the system state. We can now select specific files and folders instead of the entire volume to back up. We now PowerShell, right? We can script out all of our backups and do one-to-many backup, one-to-many backup scripting. Yeah, so it's just those little tiny things that we don't have a chance to talk about a lot. For example, another one that just came to mind when I said PowerShell, some of the strongest feedback we got from our customers with the 08 release is, hey, I can't run PowerShell on server core because there's no .NET framework. So what we've done with R2 is we've taken components of the .NET framework that are just needed to run PowerShell and put them in server core. So now you have, minimalistic footprint. we can now run PowerShell as well as ASP.NET on Server Core. So it's those nice little customer-driven features that we always like to be able to talk about, but the bigger features usually take the stage.
I think I kind of heard some wahoos out there, the folks out there watching this. All right, so you've got some cool stuff coming up around TechEd, but before that, where can folks go to get the latest, greatest information? And then, more importantly, where do I go to download this RC today?
Yeah, exactly. So www.microsoft.com/Windows Server, and we will point you in the right direction there. And if you want to keep up with, the kind of the day-to-day stuff that goes around here in the Windows Server division, we have a pretty good blog, I like to think, up blogs.technet.com/Windows Server is where we like to do a lot of our, under-the-radar announcements and things like that. So those are two resources, that you need to be successful with Windows Server.
And to get the RC today, it's...
Oh, so today, it's TechNet and MSDN.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we have some staging and registration things we have to do to, put it up on MS-Com. So just be a few days after that, it'll be available broadly to everybody. And I'll tell you what, we want your feedback, right? So absolutely go download the code. There's a little send feedback button there if you encounter any bugs, things you'd like to see done better. Trust me, those do not fall on deaf ears when we get those submissions on what we can do better. And hopefully, you see some of that proof as we look to R2, some of those little customer-driven tweaks. Yeah.
Excellent. Ward, thanks for your time.
Hey, Joe, anytime, man.
Thanks.